You missed a week plus a day on either end. I think the most interesting Bills thing right now is Cook. Because that, not exactly, but I want to, it'll make the point for me. It kind of escalated.
Oh, I think so.
The last couple of days.
I think how Brandon Beane spoke about it, and I don't know if I have all of the information, but I feel like what I heard and what I read from Brandon Beane is, okay,
yep,
congratulations on your social media campaign, yep. But this isn't happening right now, and he does not sound like eager to sit down again and further discuss at this point. Like, the message seemed very clear. We're not aligned on what our desires are, and we're going to move on to other things because we're just wasting time at this point, which, is not the sternest of rebukes, but it's a message, I think.
Well, he again had the line about how he won't negotiate in public. So, I think this is good. No numbers. He might have been thinking it. He might be thinking it all the time. But he might be thinking, like, no way in hell $15 million a year. But he doesn't say that.
Right.
It's good that he doesn't say that.
I suppose.
But he did say, right now we're on to the draft. So this is closed for the time being. And I would think that means until at least when the draft is over, which is about a month. And don't forget, guys, we can get back to this next year.
Right.
Not next month, although he might have said that too. But at the one bite, he's like, we can get to this next year. So he's calling Cook's bluff. You want $15 million a year? That's a no. And we'll see you here when it's mandatory. And if we don't, you'll be fined.
Right.
There was, for me, an update on that makes it even more interesting. And that's this, that I talked to Sal on Friday and again yesterday. And on Friday, and I didn't know this, I'm not dinging Sal. Like, he knows so much about, like, the details of contracts and the CBA and everything. He said, no matter who you are, you get a $40,000 a day fine. So if he doesn't show up, I'm not sure if that's the minicamp part too, but at least training camp, it costs James Cook $40,000 a day. Or maybe, do they even get paid then? I don't know when it is, but that's the number. Mm-hmm. But Sal found out and updated this yesterday to say that if you're on your rookie deal,
I saw something about that.
Yeah. Can waive the fines, and they can't if you're not. So it could be that Cook sits out for whatever it is and accumulates fines, and then a deal is made, and the Bills just say, all right, don't worry about it.
They're all forgiven, right.
Which I think would make it logically more likely that he would stay away because he can get out of it in negotiations. And he can't if he's not on his rookie contract. If you can't get out of $40,000 a day, and what is he making? A couple.
Do they need to – I think his cap number's 5 this year. I don't know what that means as far as, like, real cash once the paychecks start coming in the regular season. Do they need to come to a new contract in order to forgive those fines, or can they just forgive them? Like, in other words, if he misses mandatory minicamp in the first 5 days of training camp and is fined for all of that, but never gets a new contract, I shouldn't be asking a question that neither of us are going to be equipped to answer definitively. I wonder if that opportunity to waive that, is that independent of a new contract?
I don't know. He does make 5.2.
Okay.
It's more than I thought.
Yeah. But still, yeah, it definitely, to me, over the weekend, I don't know, I think Beane spoke on Sunday, I think is why Sal was already at these meetings on Sunday. And I don't think there's any question that the Bills' stance is pretty clear. And we'll see. I have not noticed if there's been any reaction to that from Cook. I've not seen any. Myself, I think I've been paying attention the last 36 hours or so as I'm sort of readapting here. But whether he likes it or not, the Bills are, at least for now, going to run the race and use the things that they have at their disposal. Chiefly, the player is under contract for another year. That is a big one. They've also got the franchise tag next offseason in their arsenal if they so choose. And I respect the hell out of them not wanting to negotiate off of last year. on Cook. I said it all along. I've said it numerous times. It's not like some novel point, but boy, negotiating off a 16 touchdown year when he had 2 the previous year, would just not be a place that you want to be. So, I think, you get that year, you do something close to that again this year, then, maybe their equation and the math changes on their end. But I've never wanted them to be in the business of paying running backs $10 million, let alone $15 million. And I think Cook is excellent and mattered a lot to their offense, but I don't think it mattered in a raise of, 3 times what he was making to that extent. So I recognize without them having anything else that's really provably fantastic, skills-wise on their team, you've got guys you should be hoping for, Kincaid, Coleman, of course. Shakir is what he is. Like, risking something with Cook could be dangerous, but I respect them doing it. I would not have been happy watching him play for anything between $10 or $15 million a year, honestly.
Which we still might.
We still might. That's right. Because I have no idea where they come in. But, I think we can all comfortably assume it's below $15 million at the very least.
Yes, and I said yesterday a few times, I haven't wanted to assume that Cook was like in a serious place about it, that the Bills would and he would be like apart. It's just Twitter, right? So what was it really? But now I do want to assume that. Now I think, okay, well, whatever he really wants, the Bills are taking that seriously, and it's just a no at this point. I'm excited about this because, it's one of these where I don't happen to think it's like a big loss if he isn't around, and this is a long way from being at that point. But it's one where I'd kind of want to find out. I don't wish him an injury or anything like that. I just kind of want to know, how is their offense different? It might be different. It might be better because they might not think they can run the ball as well, and I want that. I want the Bills to be at that like they used to be in that way. So I kind of want to see it through. And the draft is so rich at running back that maybe it's true anyway, but I think that's a position of need now.
Well, it certainly, you can argue that it is. If you feel like you got to make plans to not have Cook, then it absolutely is. And that's why now I think that Beane has spoken and the organization's opinion on the matter is on the record, that they're not talking right now anymore, not interested in talking until maybe after the draft, if at all. We'll see. But it's basically their position. We're leaving it. We're not getting anywhere, and that's it. So we moved on to guys that we thought we could get stuff done with, and they did. They signed every one of them except for Cook. So with the draft coming up now in 23 days from today, right? April 24th is first round. And it's a rich draft in running backs.
That's right.
Holy cow. If they do something as soon as Friday, like round 3, even round 4, where they picked Ray Davis last year, I think that would be a sign. Whether or not they think he's coming or not, they might want to just avail themselves of a guy that in a rich year they can just have here and be ready to plug and play him. If Cook, A, doesn't show up, B, they need him next year as like a timeshare with Davis and Ty Johnson or whatever.
Yeah, position of need really depends on Cook, but it's whatever it is plus that everybody loves the running backs this year. And there are going to be, it sounds like, a number of running backs that get picked, not in the first round, maybe not even in the second round, that it sounds like will show up at teams' camps and just be the best running back on the roster. Maybe that would be this one. Maybe that's saying a lot. But I think that's going to happen in a number of, camps around the league. It sounds like these guys are that good. So let's see the Bills. I mean, I've always thought Cook to be good, not great. Let's see them do that with or without him. And what it looks like, if they draft one of these guys, there's 20 that everybody is so hot. James Cook. One of the more interesting storylines here this Bills offseason.
No hard feelings from us.
No, we love him.
He's under contract, and we have the hammer of a franchise tag, so we're not mad. We got nothing to be mad about. Everybody else who was ready and primed for an extension got one. Nope. Not the guy with the emoji eyeballs on Twitter.
Right. Let's go to Dan next. Hi, Dan.
How you guys doing tonight?
All right, Dan, thanks for calling us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish we'd start coming closer to spring. I mean, it's been winter, not a whole lot of love here. And
no kidding, man. I can't wait to get out of here and get some warm weather. Just feel some sun and
You ready to get away?
go to get to a beach. I if you don't know, Dan, I just got back from Puerto Rico. So,
rub that right in.
But I feel you.
I know,
Rub
right?
that right in. I love it, but it's all good. I mean, I know Shady McCoy. He came in, and it's like, I mean, he did close to 4,000 yards in the 3 years he was here, 30 touchdowns. I mean, he added a spark when we needed that spark, and I see that a lot in Cook. Granted, he was here, you know, he didn't come in when Shady was here, but, I mean, he came in a few years later, but, I mean, he can grant that spark that the Bills really need it when they need it, you know, and he showed it this year, and, I mean, they got to reward him. They got to try to reward this guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Tell me.
I think they would like to certainly have him be happy and feel like they appreciate him, but I think they have, and I respect it. It's just, I don't know, a figure in mind that's just too far to go for a running back of his abilities and that they want to use the way they're using him. And so I think it's tough. Like, I think it's important that guys get rewarded when they work hard and they're productive and they help. And the risk the Bills are taking here by being so far pretty hard line about this, I mean, they're dropping it until after the draft at the earliest, and who knows what happens then, is that it rubs the player the wrong way, and that somehow infiltrates the team and damages the team in some way. And I don't know that can't happen. The Bills have been a very harmonious group here. There's been very little, almost none of this kind of thing with them. Guys are up for contracts. Look, they let guys go too, but they let Tremaine Edmonds go. They just weren't going to pay the price. And I think they were right to do that. And they've been fine in the middle of their defense, if not better than that, mostly since they let Edmonds go.
And what's the bottom line on that?
And
Positional value.
They paid a third-round middle linebacker that just extended him. He's on the list of guys that was due a contract and got one, but it's much more modest than what Edmonds was looking for and ultimately got from Chicago. So it's just not an easy one to crack for me. Because I respect the Bills not wanting to just, okay, fine, you fill in the figures. We just want you to be happy. I mean, that's not the way the world works. But neither do I want to just discard the guy. I don't want to talk about him as though I think he's disposable. He was excellent for them last year. It may be an outlier, but he scored a pile of touchdowns. Like, those all count.
I don't think disposable. I think replaceable.
Okay.
I think it's always about the same point with running backs or with Edmonds in his position. It's about replaceable. If the Bills have a great quarterback who can also run, they've got a very good offensive line that stayed together all season. They had a scheme built with a sixth offensive lineman on the field constantly, and a tight end who can block. Like, it was set up, and most running backs in that environment are going to be fine, which is exactly what he's been. I don't need better necessarily. I just don't need to be scared of life without him, I think. Thanks, Dan. Here's Sean next. Hi, Sean.
Hi, guys. Hope you guys are having a good day. I have a different twist on this. Mike, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but basically, like, my take was, if you look at the top three running backs that are paid in football, if you look at their teams, they're the reason why they win. Their quarterbacks are not in my opinion, only my opinion. Their quarterbacks aren't the reason they win. It's them that make their teams better.
Who do you have in mind there?
If I'm not mistaken, it's McCaffrey, Kamara, and who just got paid? Barkley. So, in my opinion, those three running backs, they make their quarterbacks on their teams better. That'll never happen here because I think, Mike, your analogy is force multiplier. Josh Allen is that, and all the things you just described in your point just before I got you put me online was he's better because Allen can run the ball. Allen is the key here. He's never going to be better than a better piece than Allen to our team. So I agree with you 100%. That's what makes him replaceable. And I don't think he can ask for top of the line money because Josh Allen is the one that makes him better. This offense, just like you described, makes him better. So I completely agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. All of that is maybe correct, all well and good. Now put yourself in Cook's position. Okay, and, how often they put me on the field is their decision. The fact that I'm Allen's teammate, what can I do about that? That's never going to change while I'm here. So is what it is. That's what makes it so interesting and sometimes complicated, right? Because the player has sort of a rank in terms of who he is in the league, how good he is, that kind of stuff. But then on a given team, the environment, the surrounding talent, all that stuff can make it where on one team, New Orleans, if you want, like on one team, the guy carries more power, more status, than Cook probably ever will here. I'm not get rid of him, just be done, anything like that. I'm not hardcore when it comes to this. I just sort of, mostly like you, feel that the Bills really don't necessarily have to feel that much urgency on this. The player is signed, and the draft is leverage for the Bills. It is always, but especially this year with the running back craziness, like the talent.
Yeah, I wonder if you're Cook, are you at this point? I don't know what. It doesn't sound like there's much of an open dialogue happening. The way Beane sounds, like we shut it down. It's over. For now, anyway. We're not talking. We didn't make any headway, and so we focused on things we thought we could get done, and now we're on to the draft. Okay, so close the book for now. Is Cook, is he worried they're going to draft someone and then play him in part ahead of him or alongside him in some way as Cook gets ready to play the final year of his rookie deal, and that thwarts the opportunity for him to put up even a 10-touchdown season to go with his 16 rushing touchdowns last year? The draft is a threat to Cook. It can be. And that's why even before Beane addressed this publicly, I thought that's a really important piece to watch in this, because however they're feeling about it, you might be able to make a pretty educated guess at how they're feeling about it, how they handle running back at the draft, if at all. The earlier they do it, if they do it, could be viewed as some degree of pessimism, either about A, Cook being here, or B, him being who they want him to be and know him to be and know him to have been the whole time if he doesn't get what he wants. Does that push him to come back before the draft even? However Beane sounds, his agent could still call, all right, that last offer you had on the table that was, with this much guaranteed and whatever, can we revisit that?
Eventually, that probably is what happens.
Because, if Cook starts to feel like, well, I've played every card I had in my hand here. Maybe go back to some more googly eyes on Twitter and however he's been using social media. Try another round of that, but he might just have to live with the fact that, all right, they do love me this much, and that's as good as it's going to get now. Now I got to run the risk of what? I show up and I try to kill it this year and march into free agency. Oh, but they have the franchise to. Cook just does not. The leverage he's got is that he scored a pile of touchdowns last year, and his teammates love him, and a lot of the fan base loves him. But within the team, like from a schematic standpoint, a depth chart standpoint, he's at the top of the heap. But that is precarious. I could easily see him getting very nervous over these next few weeks.
Oh, buddy, wait till we get Chris Trapasso on tomorrow, and we do 10 minutes on DJ Giddens. You're going to be. Holly Gordon, let's go. Let's crush some tape. Let's crush some running back tape.